Rangers making the news this lunchtime. 2 high-profile sackings. And I'm not talking about the manager, Danny Rowe. Sporting director Kevin Thelwell sacked this Monday lunchtime. And chief executive Patrick Stewart, once of Manchester United, he goes with him. Also sacked this Monday lunchtime. Simon, if memory serves me right, you predicted that something like this might well be in the offing.
I said they weren't good enough. Neither one of them. I said it when they appointed managers in the summer and the challenges that were being had with Russell Martin. I said it when I went up to Scotland with you guys to a partisan crowd about the reality of not thinking they were good enough and not thinking that Kevin Thelwell as a sporting director was good enough. So it doesn't surprise me. Ultimately, the Rangers board should have got their backsides in gear and made appointments properly themselves. This new ownership model didn't hit the ground running. First impressions are the ones that last the longest. They've got some ground to recover, haven't they?
Yeah. So explosive news coming out of Glasgow this lunchtime. 2 sackings at Ibrox. Sporting director Kevin Thelwell is shown the door, and so too Chief Executive Patrick Stewart. Of course, the 49ers in charge at the football club. And that is the end of Stewart and the end of Thelwell. Both of them gone this lunchtime. Former Sheffield Wednesday, the German manager Danny Rowe, of course, the man in charge of team matters now going forward. Get to Celtic in a second. But in the last half an hour, the news has come through that there has been a double sacking at Rangers this lunchtime. Rangers have sacked the chief executive, Patrick Stewart, and also going with him, the sporting director, Kevin Thelwell. In a club statement, Rangers say they express their sincere gratitude to both Patrick and Kevin for their leadership and unwavering commitment to the club. The chairman, Andrew Kavanagh, and vice chairman, Parag Marath, have already begun the search process, and until permanent hires are made, Director Fraser Thornton will assume the role of acting chief executive. But the news is something of a bombshell, not one but 2 being sacked at the same time. The chairman, Kavanagh, spoke in the last few moments to Sky Sports.
As we reflect on what the club needs today and where Kevin Patrick are, we think we need something different. Both Patrick and Kevin, they've been great professionals. They've worked tirelessly for the club. And I just don't think it's appropriate to sort of give a compare and contrast on what they did and didn't do right and what we're looking for in the future. And so I'll keep it simple to say that as we look forward, we want different executives to help us lead the transformation of the club.
Simon, they oversaw the Russell Martin appointment, which was well-nigh disastrous.
Yeah.
In comes Danny Rowe, but he, with all due respect to Danny Rowe, was not first, maybe not second choice either. But anyway, he has got the
probably also not decided upon by the sporting director and the CEO. I would imagine that given the mess that's been made of the initial introduction to the 49ers into the Rangers fold of a new opportunity. We heard Dave King talking 6 months ago about the need for a change of thinking, investor fatigue, opportunities to move forward. You've got a very experienced set of operators in the 49er ownership model that were coming into Rangers to set a new dawn. Now, they seem to have delegated and entrusted the responsibility to a managerial appointment to these 2 guys, or certainly to the chief executive, and they made the wrong one. I listened to him with all due. It's easy to criticise, I know that. And
listen to
Patrick Stewart earlier on in the year when he was talking about some other instance at Rangers, and I said to him, I don't think he's strong enough. I don't think he's a leader. I don't think he exhibits the kind of characteristics that are required in a job of this sort of stature and size and scale and challenges that come with it. And I think there's a lot of noise about whether he was in charge of Manchester United. Don't be silly. He was put in as an interim because there was a circumstance surrounding the outgoing chief executive. And Kevin Thelwell, I told you the view on Kevin Thelwell, that he wasn't good enough as a sporting director. And so they've got to the money shot. They've got to the money shot 4 months after creating their first impression.
Stewart has been in situ since last December. Thelwell, his stay has been more brief. He came in to Ibrox April, May time. But they've worked together, Simon, for less than a year. Less than half a year, it should be said. So they didn't really get used to working in each other's company for any great degree of time.
It doesn't really take long to work out whether people are capable of being leaders or not. I mean, you can look at what I've done in my life and people can point to the end of my time at Palace, running out of money and the biggest banking crisis. But the one thing I am is a leader, and I know how to make definite decisions, good and bad. And it felt to me that my nose told me about Patrick Stewart that he wasn't up to the job, with all respect. And Kevin Thelwell, I said it at the Rangers function, the function I went up to with Chris Boyd's charity.
Yes.
That these aren't the guys to take you forward. So now they've made a decision. And as Andrew Kavanagh was saying, I don't feel the necessity to talk about a compare and contrast. I'm going to talk to you now about who we're going to put in place, or tell you in immediate terms who's going to come in place and to take Rangers forward. And they need to get it right this time round. You need to get it right every single time. But for me, this is a big football club. I've sat amongst, I got told off the other day when I was up in Scotland by one of the former board members about the fact that I'd been quite critical of them, and he said I'd called everybody thick. I didn't call everybody thick at all.
Oh, when we ran into them in that restaurant.
Absolutely. I said they weren't good enough.
Yeah.
They weren't good enough. And with due respect, a club of that stature needs good people in it. It's a good job if you're good at what you do. Yeah. If you're not good at what you do, I should imagine it's a bloody difficult job.
So Patrick Stewart sacked as chief executive this lunchtime. Kevin Thelwell sacked at Rangers as sporting director. But across the city, at Celtic, pretty much upheaval behind the scenes as well, because in the last few days at the Celtic AGM, it kind of stopped before it could really get started. Now, many of those in attendance not happy at the recent performance of the Celtic board, and they made those feelings felt in more ways than one. As I say, the meeting was just getting underway, but then descended into somewhat farcical scenes as it was cut short amid sack the board chants. Bear in mind, Brendan Rodgers is gone and Martin O'Neill is in interim charge at this time. Son of Dermot Desmond, Ross Desmond, read out a statement on behalf of his father Dermot, who is the club's majority shareholder. He wasn't in attendance, and then it really went downhill.
Our model is far from perfect, but for the most part, it has served this club well over the past 20 years. So we will not be bullied by aggressive, irrational factions. We will not be railroaded by those whose only vocation in life is to be anti-establishment, and by those who try to degrade the club. Our focus is on what matters, improving this club step by step, systematically, without ever risking its future. Improving recruitment, investing in data analytics, upgrading facilities, enhancing the stadium, and trying to make Celtic stronger in every way. Our board, led by Peter, and our executive, led by Michael, are dedicated Celtic people. The attempts to dehumanise them and vilify them are shameful. These are people with families. They love the club every bit as much as anyone here, and when we're not performing, they suffer just as much as anyone. They work tirelessly, often under intense pressure. They do an outstanding job for this club, and we are very lucky to have them. The behaviour of certain sections increasingly brings the club and its fan base into disrepute. The incident a few weeks ago at the Falkirk match was symptomatic of wider behaviour that cannot be ignored. These people are bullies, and they tried to hijack the good name of Celtic. Try to hijack the good name of Celtic supporters. We cannot allow them to define who we are. I'm well aware of the target I put on my back by saying this.
Boss, just kidding. I'm going to have to apologise to those shareholders that are here today who have the best interests of the club at heart, particularly those that have a question that would want to ask it later on. But because of the disruption, we're going to draw the meeting to a close. I'm going to call a poll.
So that was Celtic chairman Peter Lowell who called the meeting to a close. Simon, you were telling me earlier you would have kept it going.
Well, I mean, you have to be in the room, and my nose always tells me not to bow to situations and to run towards the fire. But if you've got no order in the room and you're trying to have an orderly conversation or an orderly meeting where some things are decided, things are voted upon, and structure is deployed, and you can't get that order in the room, then you have to take a decision. Now, I didn't feel that it was that unruly. I felt that the statement in and of itself was... I mean, I applauded Dermot's statement about Brendan Rodgers. I felt it was bold of him to do it. I felt it was right for him to defend.
When Brendan resigned.
Well, because he wasn't going to allow Brendan just to have the passing word and to have the narrative set for others, whilst Brendan escaped scot-free from his consequences. So I admired that. I didn't think that some of the statement that was being read was particularly conducive to achieving anything in that meeting.
From Ross Desmond.
Yeah, because it was provocative. It was judgmental. It was accusatory, and maybe that's what's needed, but what you got was a reaction to it. If people were dissenting and you're now giving them a lecture about how they should behave and what they do and don't think and what they are and aren't, right, without in a way that to my mind, listening to that statement, it felt a little bit condescending. And a little bit, but maybe these people deserve to be condescended towards. But if you're going to do that, if you're going to have that sort of conversation, if you're going to give somebody a lecture or a group of people in that room that were clearly dissenting voices, because if you're giving it to nobody that's in the room, what was the point of it? Right? It's obviously clearly aimed at people that are in that room. And what did you expect them to do? Did you expect them just to sit there and take it, or did you expect them to say, "Oh, well, hang on a second, we're going to be dissenting toward that. We've got legitimate grievances. We're going to do what people do when they don't like something." And then to say, right, well, we're going to stop the meeting on the back of the statement that you wanted to put out. You've created the provocation in the room, and now you're closing the meeting on the back of it. Seems to me that's not the way to do it. But it's easy to say when you're not there. I personally think that if you've got something to say to somebody, you say it to them, and then you try and get some order in the room and say, well, I've read my statement. I've told you my views. This is how we're going to operate going forward. Now, if you want to have a reasonable conversation now in the context of this conversation in this meeting that doesn't involve it turning into a bear pit, then we'll do that. If not, I'm going to eject you.
Yeah.
Not me. I'm not going to eject me. I'm not going to close the meeting. I'm going to eject you.
Yes. Yeah, of course.